Great girlfriends, you're invited to What Women Want 2017 Conference, June 15th through 17th, 2017 in New York City, powered by Prudential.
The 2017 What Women Want experience is all about uniting women from around the world in one weekend with power talks, workshops, dance retreats, beauty and wellness tips, and authentic connectivity that will inspire you to return home ignited to create change.
This year, our theme of building bridges and breaking barriers is about women creating connections first with themselves and then with others to lead an outstanding life.
So here's what you're going to get. So at our What Women Want conference, over 200 great girlfriends will go from me to we, as our programming will self-guide girlfriends on living a self-centric life full of purpose and power to move in legacy and togetherness as women and global citizens.
You're going to connect with like-minded women who stand as bridges towards higher living and more meaningful relationships.
You're going to gain clarity on what you really want to manifest in your life and in your friendship.
Last but not least, you're going to celebrate the power and passion that women display when they leave all of their cares behind and savor the experience.
Let me tell you, ladies, you have not had an experience like this before. This is a conference, but not really a conference. It is bringing all our great girlfriends together for an amazing family reunion where we're going to love on each other, hug on each other, and really, really connect.
Yes, and we want you there. So log on to the website, www.whatwomenwantconference.com, and grab a ticket for yourself and your greatest girlfriends. We'll see you there.
Bye, guys.
Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I am your host, Brandis Daniel.
I'm your co-host, Sibylla Muti.
And we have with us a very special guest that we're so excited about, Miss Christina Brown from Love Brown Sugar. Yay!
Welcome, Christina.
Thank you. I'm so looking forward to chatting with you guys.
Oh, we're so glad to have you. This is overdue. I'm so glad it's happening.
I'm telling you, Christina.
Listen, if we could give out patient awards, the patient award of 2017 goes to Christina Brown of Love Brown Sugar.
Yes, it does.
Let me tell you something. We had, Brandon, she's going to love this word. We had the most flickted schedule. You like how I flicked in there? We have flicked it.
So, but I have not heard that term since like the 1980s.
Because you're in Memphis right now. It was flicked it. Christina, we use flicked it like that's like an old Memphis term. Everything was flicked it. If the food was right, it was flicked it.
Your hair was flicked it.
Her attitude was flicked it. Everything was flicked it.
Oh my goodness. I can't. That's hilarious.
You just killed me with that one. I was not expecting that word.
That was for you. And all the men out there.
I love
Our
it.
schedules were flickted. And Christina never, ever, ever was like, you know what? Y'all call me when you can get your whole life together. She did it. She never did.
You know what? I totally understand it, because I know there have been times that I've had to do that to people as well, just because you know how life is. You know, you just never know if things come up unexpectedly, especially when you're a mompreneur. So I get it. I'm very going with that.
Just for the record, Christina, it was all Sybil's fault.
It was. It really was me. It was totally me. Like, stuff just kept happening. I was like, this is the most embarrassing calendar attempt in my life. Like, I've never had to do this. I feel so ashamed. I was like, Brandis, this is horrible. I can't do it.
Sybil, I can't believe you own that.
I owned it. And it wasn't even like, Christina, it wasn't even small stuff. It was like big stuff.
It was big stuff. It was.
Kept hitting.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And it rains of course, though. But we're here. I'm happy we're here.
We're here, Christina. How was your weekend?
It was great, actually. It's funny you say that you're in Memphis. I was just in Memphis last week.
What?
We saw that for St. Jude.
Yes, I went on a press trip with St. Jude, which was so humbling. So I got a little taste of your hometown
Hey.
and absolutely loved it. So
And you met our great girlfriend Latoya Dennis, I'm sure.
yes,
You was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Please tell me that you got some Gus's fried chicken.
Oh my God. So I didn't get a chance to get it on this trip, but I did get some the last time I was in Memphis, which was late last year. And man, that changed my life. It was so good. It was so good. And you know what's so funny? When I walked in there, I ended up seeing LeVar Burton.
Oh
And
my
I, of course, here of all places, I'll see a celebrity because it's just like the best chicken, in the area. So it was pretty awesome. I had a great time.
That is so hilarious. So, Scott Parker, if you're listening, I don't eat Gus's fried chicken. I was just, I was just recommending it to Christina.
Wait, you got to cover yourself.
Girl, I gotta cover myself. Scott will come for us.
She home now, Scott. So you need to pray for her.
Please, all the great girlfriends, pray for me, please. Oh my goodness. Well, I just came.
So she can be nice and right for what women want.
Yes, I got to get myself all the way together. I'm so excited. I think I'm getting my outfits together for what women want. So it's going to be good. How was your weekend, Sybil?
Oh, it was so easy. This is my first weekend home in about 4 weeks. And we just did nothing. Like we just lounged and just laid on each other and played and just did nothing. It was so awesome. I mean, it was so simple, so awesome. I promise you, I wouldn't have traded it. It was amazing. How about yours?
That's the best. Well, we did Bentonville Film Festival. So I was in Bentonville, Arkansas on Friday and Saturday, which was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Essence and Harlem's Fashion Row did a fashion presentation there. So shout out to everyone that was involved with that. P. Noel and Walmart brought us there. And Regine, our great girlfriend. And then Saturday, my cousin graduated from University of Memphis. So we did her graduation party. And yesterday I did church and it was good. Girl, I came home and had the most epic nap ever. I'm talking about epic nap. It was everything. So
That's the best. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So it was great. It was great. Well, Christina, we are so excited about having you as one of our speakers at What Women Want. First of all, super excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
And when we were kind of thinking through our speakers, we really wanted people who had a really authentic voice, who didn't mind putting themselves out there and being vulnerable, because sometimes as women we like to hold back a bit. But I know that you have been so vulnerable with your audience at Love Brown Sugar. And so we were like, she would be amazing for the conference and to speak on this particular panel. But just so that our girlfriends can kind of get to know who you are, who is Christina Brown?
Yes, that's a good question and one that could take all day to explain, but I'll try to consolidate. So I am a full-time mompreneur. I have a 3-year-old daughter named Cadence, who I love. And I have been blogging now for 8 years, almost 8 years, since July of 2009. I started out with my style blog, Love Brown Sugar, which is all about promoting style and beauty for women of color, and particularly style and beauty that makes you feel good. So the emphasis is always on self-empowerment and confidence, and promoting diversity and just embracing everything that makes you special and unique. And so I started with that in 2009. And around the time that I got pregnant with my daughter, I decided to branch off and also start a mommy blog called Baby Brown Sugar. So I have those two platforms. I started working on my blog full time in 2013. And that actually gave way to another platform called Brown Girls Love that empowers young women of color through personal branding and entrepreneurship. because I got tons of questions about how I do this thing called entrepreneurship, how I'm able to support myself and my family and everything. And so I decided to create a forum for that as well. So that in a nutshell is what I do on a day-to-day basis.
I love it. And you were just in a National Dove commercial.
Yeah.
Boom pow. Boom pow. Yes.
Yes, it started airing in January, so I'm an official Dove ambassador for this year, and that was super exciting. So I'm really excited about that too.
You made us all so very happy and proud watching that commercial. It felt like our own sister was out there
Aw.
celebrating us. Yeah, I promise you. It was just it felt so true to, it felt so authentic. It felt so true to us. It felt like, it hit home for us. It was like, oh, commercial for us. This is so honest. I love it.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I had a blast filming that, and I'm just happy to be aligned with a brand like Dove. I think they are so forward thinking and conscious about making sure that the messages they put out there are positive and
Hmm.
empower all different types of women and just make women feel good. And the initiatives that they have, just trying to make sure that young women feel confident, they have self esteem workshops, and just all this great stuff that they do in addition to having great products. So I'm happy to be an ambassador for them this year.
I love it. So I want to back up because I feel like one of the young girls are like, how do you cover your whole family on a blogger check? But how do you take the leap and say, you know what? I have a career, but I feel like I need to venture into this new space. And you've been in the blogger space long enough, so you've seen it evolve quite a bit.
Yep.
Excuse me, even the integration of social media and how that plays into the influence of a blog. But how do you say to yourself, this is the day that I'm going to just do it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. When I decided to um, start on the path to doing my blog full time, I actually wasn't a parent yet. So I,
Hmm.
was still kind of single, living in the city, and the only person I had to worry about for the moment was myself.
Hmm.
So it's interesting. It wasn't until a month later that I found out that I was going to have a baby, and I always credit her with actually giving me my business mojo and getting me on my P's and Q's when it came to really considering my business something serious, because now it's like I have more than one mouth to feed. So it was, for me, I just felt like it was my time. I did a lot of meditation and prayer around that time before I decided to branch off and start my own business. And it came down to, I had all these opportunities and brands that wanted to work with me and trips that they wanted to take me on and just all this stuff. And I was like, I'm either going to be a really horrible full-time employee and try to continue to do this on the side, or I'm going to pursue this and see where it takes me, and just really tap into what I want to do. And so I figured at that time, I'm like, this is the only time I'll be able to do this. I don't have a ton of responsibility. I've saved up a little bit of money. So let's just see where it takes me. And so I took the leap. And since then, I've never looked back.
I love it. Love it. But how do you know that, it's a big, piece of confidence that says that your voice even matters as a blogger and that you qualify. And one of the things that we encounter with our great girlfriends is that so many times women will have an idea, they'll have a dream, or they'll have a desire for what they want, but because of a lack of confidence or fear or, whatever it is, they disqualify themselves from even pursuing it. So what gave you the confidence to say, my voice matters, I want to contribute it towards the blogger space, and I qualify to do this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I think it is something that you struggle with on a day-to-day basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even, having been working on my blog, full time for 4 years now, I still have those questions. You know what I mean? Seeing myself on the screen in that commercial, like I'm still like, why am I there again? Like it's a constant battle. I think you really have to look deep and figure out what really makes you happy, right? I have this philosophy of making sure that I start everything with love. So whether that's a new project or, a relationship or whatever, that it started from a genuine place, because that's the only way that it has some longevity, is if you really
Yeah.
truly love it and that there's passion behind it. And I had to examine my life and determine, okay, is what I'm doing right now, my full-time job, is it something that I love, that I feel like I can do forever? Is it something where I feel like I am having the greatest impact? And when I asked myself those questions, it was no. What I loved most and what I felt was really feeding my soul was the work that I was doing with my blog. And I said, if I have to live my entire life kind of sacrificing and compromising and not doing what I really and truly love and am passionate about, then, I'd rather not. I'd rather choose something that feeds my soul on a day-to-day basis and makes me feel like I'm having an impact. So that's what really led me down the path of leaving and trying to branch out on my own and figure things out on my own.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the struggles you had, Christina, in that? Because I know, we always, people hear people who left their jobs and go do their own things, and and I think they kind of almost make it feel like a fantasy, and they fantasize that entire experience, when those of us who've done it know how extremely challenging that could be. And how it can really make you question yourself, and did I do the right thing, and all that. Can you walk us kind of like through what you felt during that time? Maybe some things that you really had to pull yourself out of to keep going?
Absolutely. I was scared. I don't want anyone to think that I walked out of, my full-time job like, yes, this is the best decision I've ever made, jumping through hoops and twirling around. No, it wasn't any of that at all. I was still really nervous, even though I felt, in my heart and my spirit that I made the right decision. I was, part of me was very excited about new opportunities, but I also was very scared, because you also have to think about the fact that I'm not only making the decision for myself and saying to myself, okay, I'm going to try to branch off and do this. I also have to explain to all my friends and family why I no longer have a full-time job, and they didn't fire me. You know what I mean? Like, right. I have to explain to them that I consciously made a decision not to get a check every 2 weeks, and not to have, their insurance and all that stuff that, the perks that come with having a full-time job. So it was definitely a lot of fear. I think the one thing that helped alleviate some of that fear was that I had prospective opportunities already laid out for me. I had done a little bit of preparation. I had saved a bit. And I also had a few opportunities that were ongoing monthly contracts that helped to kind of subsidize my basic expenses for the first few months of, me having my own business. So that helped a lot, and it helped alleviate some of the pressure, but none of that stuff was guaranteed, you know what I mean, for years at a time. So it definitely was a struggle. Just another big piece of it was knowing my worth. That was a big struggle for me, because, I will say, particularly at that time, there's a lot more transparency now, still not where it needs to be, but at that time, there weren't a lot of full-time bloggers, and the ones that were full-time were not always 100% honest or open about, talking about how much they make or how much they charge for certain opportunities. So, in my full-time line of work, I could try and compare the amount of hours I was spending on that work and say, okay, if I'm spending it on my blogging work, this is how much I should get paid. But that wasn't always the best gauge either. So I think that was one of my big struggles as well, was figuring out how much am I really worth? What can I really charge for this work that I'm doing? Because I love it so much, but at the end of the day, it still is work, and I still do deserve to be paid for it. So yeah, that was a big struggle for me in the beginning.
Got it. Yeah. What job did you quit?
I was a social media specialist at a PR agency. So I was like the liaison between some really big brands in style and beauty, and connecting them to actually other influencers, and also giving them social media strategies.
Girl, I know that. Look, I know that must have hurt. You connected them with influencers. You're like, hello.
It was a great, it was a great opportunity, and I learned so much in that time. And it made me feel good that I was actually, connecting these brands with other influencers and people that could help transform their marketing strategies. And so it was an awesome opportunity for me, but I knew eventually that it was time for me to kind of branch off and do my own thing.
Nice.
I
want to ask you a little bit about, you working in the realm of beauty and image and perception and all the things that women buy into that come along with beauty. because we're at our conference, What Women Want, June 15th through 17th in New York City Metro, powered by Prudential. Just want to throw that out. At the conference, we're going to have a conversation about what this beauty thing is and why women are still struggling. We still, require lashes, we require injections, we require so many other things to feel like we qualify, to feel like we actually have what it takes to be called beautiful. What has been your experience with that story of beauty? Was that ever a struggle for you, or was that something I was always beautiful, this is just me?
No, I think what why people have been drawn to my site is my honesty and transparency around not always feeling beautiful, not always feeling, like I had worth based on my looks and based on my body type and just all these different things that made me unique. That's why it was so important for me to start telling more of that story. The first year of my blog, I really spent a lot of time talking about runway trends and what the celebrities were wearing. And I was talking about everything and everyone else except myself. And it wasn't until about a year in when I got actually let go from, for the first time I got let go from a job. And so I had about 3 months between, the time that job ended and the next job opportunity. And I said, I really want to make this count. And I want to make sure that I am doing my blog according to my terms and not focusing on what everybody else is doing. So at the time, my brother-in-law he got some photo equipment and he wanted to get into photography. And so I had him take some photos of me. And I did like my first real kind of outfit post. And I put it up on my blog and man, it exploded. My article got kind of picked up by a few different blogs and publications. And I got all these new readers and people leaving me comments like, I didn't know you had curves like me. And, a bit me talking about that outfit post wasn't just telling them where I got my outfit, but talking about the fact that I was like wearing a romper and I used to really hate my legs and now I'm going to appreciate them. So I was doing something a little bit different. I was taking it to another level as opposed to just talking about the fashion. I talked about how it made me feel and how fashion and style was therapy for me growing up because I had self-confidence issues. And so I think because people were able to relate to that story and were able to relate to me in that way, that's how my blog has grew over time. And so I think that's important. Authenticity is really important. And anybody who is out here on their blog saying that, oh, I've always been beautiful, I never don't feel beautiful, that's a lie. We all go through it. All right. We all have those, our issues and things that we don't appreciate about ourselves. And, I obviously think it's great when you have confidence, but I think people appreciate that honesty and transparency more than anything.
Yeah. Well, I think because, me, you, Brandis, we're all raising girls. And my daughter's 5. And how old is Cadence?
She's 3.
She's 3. And so, the older they get, and Brandis' daughter's a year and a half, but the older they get, you start to recognize their association with beauty and how it relates to the world and their friends and what they see and the cartoons they watch and some of the things that they think that they value. And you see how this stuff plays into the story of who they become. And it even changes some of the decisions you make, like around your hair and how you wear it, because you want your daughter to know certain things about hair and all that. But I get scared sometimes. I really do. Just want to be honest with you, 2 moms. I get scared for this generation of girls because their definition or their theory, and their access, it's you can get lashes for $10, and you wearing lashes in high school and junior high, right. And these girls are wearing weaves and nails and all these fancy things in junior high and high school. So what happens when you become a woman? Like what do you have to aspire to, and what do you have to know about yourself, and how do you even learn to appreciate your raw, natural face when you're completely masking every day?
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm scared. I really am. As a mom, I'm scared. And it's something it's always a constant prayer point. Lord, show me how to show my daughter what beauty means and to create her own definitions. But is that something that you deal with, as a mom and as a woman, some of the things that you feel like you encounter with your audience as well?
Absolutely. I think now that I'm a mom, it's an even more sensitive topic for me. And it's why, my platform is so important to me in getting the word out, because it really is a top down type of thing. You know what I mean? How you feel and how you portray your level of confidence in front of your girls, it automatically reflects on them, and they carry that with them. There obviously are going to be outside influences as they get older and as they come to their own understanding of the people around them. But you're kind of the first example of beauty to, your daughter. And so I think about that all the time. I'm very intentional about, giving my daughter positive affirmations. I make sure that when she looks at herself in the mirror, she says, I'm beautiful. My hair is beautiful. I'm intelligent. I make sure she says those things.
Yeah.
She's going to need that. You know what I mean? She comes face to face with somebody who says the opposite. She needs to have in her heart and her mind that's who she is. And then even little things like, sometimes I try to steal away and do my makeup like in the bathroom without her looking, because she's now into this phase where she literally wants to wear my makeup. She thinks, oh, this is what makes you pretty. And I'm like, no, baby, you're pretty already. You know what I mean? You don't need all this other stuff to make you pretty. Mommy puts it on here and there just to enhance my beauty, but that doesn't make me pretty,
Right.
So it's really a conscious decision and a conversation you have to continually have with them, even when they're really young, because you don't realize it, but they're picking up on everything,
Yeah. I also think too, to what you're saying is, as women, those of us who have come to learn and understand and own what we feel is beautiful about ourselves and embrace it. I think we have a responsibility to our teens and our millennials, and to these women who are waking up and going to sleep with a full face of makeup. I mean, just just beat all day and are spending their entire life, defining themselves by all of these add-ons. I think we have a responsibility to really pull them out of that ditch and devotion to makeup and additives and layers and that stuff, and really start to share with them who we are and what we've discovered. But I love what you said about the romper. I'm wearing a romper, but here's the truth behind this romper. This was not easy for me to put on once upon a time. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that it's so important. I think it's really healing. You know what I mean? Whenever I hear a story, or let's say I have a celebrity that I really love and I learned something new about them, something that might have been painful in their past that they allowed to surface and, really tell their story, it's powerful, because it humanizes people. It makes you realize that even the most beautiful and flawless looking beings have their own insecurities and issues. And it can really help you cope with your day to day and make you feel like, okay, I'm not alone in this. You know what I mean? I'm not the only one.
Right. Absolutely.
What do you think from your childhood background? Because when I think about kind of my childhood, and Sybil's talked about her childhood, sometimes you can almost be, raised to kind of take these kind of risks and be entrepreneurs. What do you think? Was there anything in your background growing up that you think kind of prepared you for the life you're living right now?
That's a good question. So both my parents were full-time working parents. Neither of them were entrepreneurs. Even though they did at one point have an opportunity to branch off and be entrepreneurs, they chose to work full-time. Both my parents cook, so they used to be caterers, and they used to cater all of our big family, things, and their friends and family had weddings. They were always catering, and it came to a point where they had to decide if they wanted to do the catering business full time or just, work their full-time jobs. And, raising a family of four, the decision was, for them to keep their full-time jobs. So I didn't have my parents as an example as far as entrepreneurship, but they have always been super supportive of me. Even when I decided to, I left business school, graduated, and instead of working like in finance, like most of my colleagues, I decided to take up a job in editorial, which is totally, different.
Right.
You know what I mean? All these things. And they supported me, you know what I mean? Because they knew that was my dream and my passion. So I think my background, really, my parents have always been very supportive of the different things that I've done. And so that was a big help for me, because I know a lot of people are scared and fearful of doing certain things because their family doesn't support it. And that I'm thankful to say that was never an issue for me. My parents have always been super hard workers, and I could see that, from birth. They were always working and also teaching me the important principles of hard work. So I think that definitely has played into it a lot. And I will say I have an aunt, and growing up, she had her own shop. So she had a boutique where she would make, dresses, and she was a seamstress. And so we spent actually a lot of time in her boutique in Brooklyn. And I remember those times just like walking in and smelling the incense and seeing how she interacted with her customers. And that always made me wonder what it was like to kind of own your own business, just having that example. So I would say that's one example I had growing up of entrepreneurship. But yeah, my parents have always been very hardworking and supportive. So it definitely helped.
Mm-hmm.
And what about your great girlfriends? Have they, like, what role have your great girlfriends played in you doing what you do? And now that I think about it, I'm like, I didn't know if I really set the stage right. Because Christina, how many visitors do you have coming to your website a month?
It depends on the month, but I have anywhere from 20 to 50K people coming and clicking on the site and just checking me out. So I'm sure that's probably gone up a bit since the Dove commercial, but I'm not an analytics person, so I don't really check that often.
That's so fantastic.
But yeah.
That's amazing. So, like your great girlfriends, how are you super selective at this point in who your friends are and kind of what role they play?
That's a really good question. I would say now more than ever I am. In the past, I've always been very open and friendly. So, and I think I believe that has greatly contributed to my success as an entrepreneur and as a blogger, because a lot of the great things I've been able to do is a direct result of relationships and me not being afraid to network and have conversations with people. And so I've always been very open and accepting when it comes to new friends. But that was something that I think as I got older and as I started to move into different seasons of my life, I realized that, there are some people that, it was important to keep close, and there are other people in those seasons that I had to let go of. So I would say now I'm definitely a little bit more selective about who I consider my close friends, because, I want to make sure, especially now that I'm very clear about my purpose and what I'm passionate about and how I want to move, that the people in my immediate circle are bringing only positive energy and are only pushing me forward. And if you're not careful, you can allow people in who really can make you stagnant and hold you back from what you're capable of. So I'm definitely more selective now. All the people that I have in my life are positive forces, people who help me in different areas. I have my spiritual accountability partners. I have my business accountability partners. I have my friends who've just been always there, so they know everything about me and I can be 100% me in front of them. So, I have these different kind of compartments of people that really encourage me and help push me forward.
So there are some of our great girlfriends who want to start blogs. And they're like, I would love to blog full time. If I could make a living by blogging full time, that would be a dream for a lot of them. What do you tell people that are considering this? Because, you got to start from the ground up. Yep. And I think it took how many years before you got to that place?
It took me, I've had my blog since 2009, and I went full time in 2013. So that was a full 4 years that it took before I started to really monetize. And, it's been 8 years, and now I'm in a commercial, and now I'm getting really great ambassadorships and things like that. So it takes some time. I always tell people, the first piece of advice I give is, again, to start with love. Make sure that you're starting with something that you're really passionate about. Don't just blog about something because you think it's lucrative or you think that you can make a lot of money blogging about it. Blog about it because this is what you're truly passionate about. And when those checks are not coming in, you're still going to be motivated to work. And that was my big thing in the beginning. I wasn't making money from it, and I didn't have intentions of making money from my blog when I first started it. It really was just a talking point for me. As someone who was trying to break into editorial, it provided a great portfolio for me to show people my writing style. But also it was an outlet. You know what I mean? I started my blog at a time when, I just graduated from college and I felt so bad about not having a full-time job. I went to an Ivy League school, spent all this money on college, and I felt so kind of dejected because there were no jobs in most of the different areas that I'd interned in. And, I didn't feel like I was contributing anything at that point. And that's one of the reasons I really started my blog, was to give myself a voice and to try something new. And it was like therapy for me. And so I never imagined in a million years that, 8 years later, I'd be successful at it and making money from it and like making a career out of it. And so I think people have to go into it with positive intentions and know that if this is something that you really, really love, that your gifts will make room for you. You know what I mean? If you're really good at it, if people respond to it and they love it, and you're able to make great relationships with brands that will, pay for your voice and your expertise, then this is a great place for you. But if that doesn't happen, you have to be okay with that. You know what I mean? And so I think that's what people have to think about.
Give us some stories, Christina, some stories of some times that you really had to remind yourself of all of this, because maybe you were at the point of like being done, which most entrepreneurs get to that place.
Yes. Wow. I think it's happened so many times over the years. And I think it's definitely a misconception that all entrepreneurs who are working for themselves, they're like in it and they love it and they never think about doing anything else. That's a lie.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've been like, let me just hop on Indeed and see what's going in the street. Let me see if I need to get back into getting a full-time job.
Browsing, right? I know exactly what you.
Yes.
It's really tough. This is not an easy path to take, even though it's incredibly fulfilling. You find entrepreneurs who have like the highest rates of depression and anxiety and just all these things, because this life is just not easy. I'm trying to think of a specific time. I do remember, right after having Cadence, there was a lot going on. I had just had a baby. I was at the time struggling to kind of build up this brand new business. I joke around sometimes and say that I had two babies at the same time, because
Amen.
then I had my business as well that I was just getting off the ground. So it was a lot of pressure at that time. And, right after having a baby, your emotions are all over the place.
They are everywhere. Everywhere.
You are really going through it because you have this new life that you have to take care of, and you're trying to figure out how you're going to make the best life for them, and just a lot to think about at the same time. And so that was tough for me. I really at the time considered like, maybe I need to just go back and work a full job. I talked to myself and said, am I being irresponsible by deciding to be an entrepreneur when I have another, life to worry about?
Yeah.
And that is something that I really struggle with, because I'm like, I don't ever want my daughter to struggle. I don't ever want her to not have the basic necessities or anything that she needs. And so I really had to dig deep and pray on it and make sure that I had a contingency plan. It was around that time that I started to think about, getting a financial advisor, someone who could help me and make sure that my finances were in a good place. Just little things like starting up a savings account for her, and just all those things to help me feel a little bit better about the situation. But it's happened so many times. It's like a cyclical kind of thing. You're happy and you're excited about this new opportunity or whatever new project you're working on, and then things start to settle a little bit, and maybe 1 month you don't make as much money as you really wanted to, and it's like, man, maybe I should just go back and get a job. So it's a constant struggle. I'll say that.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that we don't show people enough, is that, I don't know of an entrepreneur who hadn't gone on Indeed or something like Indeed or got their resume together just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah.
As a plan B, because you're like, man, if this doesn't work out, I have to make sure I'm making good money and I can survive. So it's definitely a day-to-day struggle. I will say one thing that has helped me significantly is knowing how to properly diversify how I monetize. So not relying solely on one thing or one source of income. I do a lot of different things. I do, workshops. I do live events. I do speaking engagements. I, have my blog income that I work off of. And so there are and consulting, which is another big piece of my income as well. I consult with companies. So, I have a lot of different ways that I bring in income, and it helps a lot knowing that, okay, if one thing isn't that great this month, I can maybe rely on something else. And so that has helped me significantly with just having a little bit of peace of mind about how I make money on a consistent basis.
Yeah. And
Very.
how are you doing with motherhood and entrepreneurship? How you feel? How you feel today?
How I feel today? I feel great today. I can't tell you about tomorrow. It is, yeah, it's a day-to-day struggle. I will say that I've learned, over time to be okay with not having the perfect balance, right? I feel like everybody is striving to get this perfect balance of work and home and spending exactly 10.5 minutes doing this and 20, and it's like, no, that's just not how it works in life. You know what I mean? There's going to be times that you have to spend more time doing work because that's what's necessary, or times that you have the leisure of spending more time, with your family because that's what's necessary at that moment. So I think it's really about prioritizing what's most important in the moment and making sure that you just maximize that. And that's what helped me a lot, not feeling like super pressured, to do everything perfectly because it's impossible, impossible to be perfect.
Wow.
Impossible.
I love it, Christina. What do you believe that you want out of life, out of this stage you're in? What do you want most of all?
Whew, that's
That's robust, right?
hmm.
But women struggle with their wants. Everyone knows what they need. We always know our needs as women, and we like to talk about our needs. And when it comes time for us to share our wants, it's like we get scared. We're like,
Hard.
can I have what I want?
Right.
And one of the things that we're learning, the more we add up, accumulate years, is that you can have what you want and what you need, and that part of our life should be spent pursuing our wants so that we understand our needs are covered. But what about that passion point, that want, that desire point? How do we make that come alive? And that's the thing that we want to help women discover through the podcast. And so we love to ask that question for you right now. What is it that you want?
That's a good question too. I think my number one want in this season is peace. And it's something that I've, discovered just from doing like the last few projects that I've worked on and realizing after going through the motions and launching and going through everything, okay, this one aspect of it or this specific particular piece of it doesn't bring me peace on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't make me, I can't sleep at night because of X, Y, and Z. And noticing that, okay, this is something that I have to cut out. This is something that I can't do anymore, or this is something I may have to outsource. So I think that's my biggest thing right now, because if my mind, my soul is not at peace, I can't run a good household. I can't be a good girlfriend, a great girlfriend to anybody. I can't be who I need to be for my loved ones if I'm not at peace. And so that is my biggest thing right now, is just achieving that peace through the different things that I do and making sure that I'm happy and joyful in the process.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Our girlfriends are going to be like all over you at the conference. Just an FYI, just be here for the love.
I can't wait. I mean, I have such a passion for women and just making sure that women feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
Because we're relied on so much. We are kind of the center of so much, especially in the household. And so I have a real passion for making sure that women know how special they are, how unique they are, and making sure that they feel confident, because that is really the only way to go through life. Like, going through life with issues around confidence and self-esteem, it just has an impact on so many different things and so many people. You don't even realize how many people you're affecting, when you don't deal with some of those issues. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you so much, Christina. You can feel your confidence through your blog.
Yeah.
Like, most people don't even have the confidence to be taking full body shots. Like, hey,
Right. See me in this romper, these legs.
Seriously.
It's truly something that, and Christine, I just want to say this too, because you talk about the desire for peace. There's a peace that you carry that I can feel it as we converse with you today. Yeah, there's a stillness and there's a peace and there's a comfort and a certainty that you just carry, and I feel so good. I know that it translates in the work that you do. I know this is going to translate at What Women Want, but I know that you're going to receive it back in a way that you can feel it in the season that you're in.
Thank you so much. I
It's
appreciate
on you.
it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Where can our girlfriends connect with you? We want to add some thousands to your visitors on your site. So give us all of the social information so they can go check you out.
Yep. So my blog is lovebrownsugar.com. So you can find me at www.lovebrownsugar.com. All the words spelled correctly. Also on social media, I'm at Love Brown Sugar pretty much everywhere. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those pages. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to coming to the conference and sharing more with you guys. And please feel free to hit me on social media at any time. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
Oh, thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Christina. We're super excited to have you and to get into even more of your story, because that thing of overcoming kind of fear and really loving who you are is something that a lot of us struggle with. Just, and so this is going to be good. And you have some bomb panelists. So y'all, yeah. So y'all going to be great together.
I can't wait.
Well, we end every podcast by thanking our families. So I want to thank my husband, Rich Daniel, for just holding it down while me and Sky are in Memphis.
Awesome. Thank you, Kwaku, and thank you, Sam and Dylan.
And Miss Sky, who's taking a nap right now, which is allowing me to record this podcast. And you want to shout out Miss Cadence?
Oh, yes. Well, I love my baby girl. She inspires everything that I do. And like I said, she's made me a better businesswoman. So shout out to Cadence Henderson. Love you, boo.
Wait a minute. Cadence's last name is Henderson?
Yeah.
How did I not know that? That's so special.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I
love it. And we just want to thank all of our families, our mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and nieces and nephews and all of our great girlfriends. Thank you so much for trusting us for your go-to source for all things life, love, and laughter.
Yes, make sure you listen every Wednesday on iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Republic, Podcast Scene, and every other podcasting service. Be sure to check us out on social. We're on Instagram,
The Great Girlfriends,
Twitter,
_Great GFS,
Facebook,
The Great Girlfriends.
And we also have an amazing Facebook group with over 16,000 members at The Great Girlfriends. Make sure you post your questions online, share with your friends, keep listening,
and keep being a great girlfriend.
I'm Sybil.
I'm Brandis. Christina.
Sorry, and I'm Christina.
We
are signing off.